Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. This next class is going to be a hip opening class. Something interesting in the theory of yoga and then the practice of yoga is that we consider the hips the place that we store emotions. So, if that's something that you are interested in figuring out or um, thinking about, this might be a good practice if you feel like you have a lot of stored up emotions that may need to be released. If not, it's just a great hip opener to kind of increase your hip mobility. So come down to the ground. We'll get started in about a minute or so, but it's so good to see you all, and I'm excited to practice with you. It might be good if you have like a block or a book or something like that to use during this practice. I often feel like if you are tighter in your hips or you're someone who's a little more uh, structured, maybe not, you would consider yourself flexible. Um, this might be really good for you. I find it very essential when I practice, especially when I use hip openers. So feel free to use this. You can come up, sit on it. We'll come down to the ground, get settled in. And as you get there, I invite you to sit up as tall as you can, maybe the tallest you've sat all day. And then we'll settle in, maybe soften our gaze or close our eyes if that feels comfortable. Place our hands at our knees or in our laps. We'll notice our breath. Breathing now together. Inhale through the nose. Exhale either through an open mouth or through your nose again. On your next inhale, we'll start by shining the heart forward and then arching on the exhale, arching the back, bringing the heart to the back. So inhale forward, exhale back, inhale forward. Following your breath, making your circles as wide and big or as small and narrow as you would like. And then exhale. On the next exhale, we'll switch it to the other direction. Waking up the spine. And then slowly we'll bring our circles back to our comfortable seat, sitting up nice and tall. Your next inhale, we'll reach our arms up and over, and then exhale, we'll bend to one side, stretching through the side body. Press away from the earth with that planted hand, creating space between our ear and our shoulder. Maybe spiraling your heart up to the sky a little bit. And then exhale back to center. Inhale, arms up. Then we'll take it to the other side, bending, side body stretch, pressing firmly into the earth. Maybe spiraling our heart up again. Exhale, Coming back to center. Inhale, we'll reach the arms up, and then we'll take opposite hand to opposite knee or thigh. And we'll gently twist, looking past the back shoulder. Breathing into our bellies here. Exhale, come back to center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, we'll take other hand to the opposite knee, looking past that back shoulder, gently twisting. Connecting with our breath. And then we'll come back to center. Awesome. If you'd like to take a moment here to set a little intention for your practice, whether that's checking in with emotions that maybe you've been bottling up, maybe that's just opening up through the hips and checking in with our hip mobility and hip stability. That can be an intention, or it can be something completely different, like I want to enjoy my day for the rest of the day. Take a moment for that. You're welcome to bring your hands to heart center, maybe close your eyes and let that word or that phrase wash over you for the next breath or two. Awesome. So if you're sitting up on a block, you can kind of remove that for right now. Keep it nearby. We'll use it throughout this practice. And then we'll come to our hands and knees for a tabletop position for some cat-cows. So on your next inhale, you'll drop the belly, open the chest, look up towards the sky for cow pose. Exhale, we'll draw that belly button in. Bring the chin to chest, arching through the back, cat pose. Inhale, drop the belly, look forward. Exhale, tucking the belly button up to the tailbone. Cat pose. Take about 5 of those, going at your own pace, just following your breath, stretching the back body, stretching through the belly. Following your breath. One more here. And I'll meet you in a flat back or a neutral spine position. On your next inhale, walk your hands a little bit forward and then peel your tailbone slowly up and back to the sky for downward facing dog. Maybe stretch it out through the calves, bending one knee then the other. Maybe check in with your shoulders. And then on your next inhale, slowly look between your hands and walk your feet all the way up to the top of your yoga mat. Option here for your feet to be flush together. You can do hip width apart as well, whatever feels comfortable right now. And then on your next inhale, we'll slowly rise up to mountain pose. Scoop that tailbone in towards your midline, towards the center, bringing your kind of like this, tilt, bringing your belly button up a little higher, tucking that tailbone, aligning the spine, lengthening the spine, breathing. We're going to do 3 sun salutations. So if you weren't here last class, you can follow along with me. But if you are comfortable doing your own sun salutation at your own pace, or if you remember and you want to practice from last class, feel free to do so. We'll do 3 of them and we'll meet back here in mountain pose. So on your next inhale, we'll reach the arms up, maybe a slight back bend, and then exhale, we'll cascade all the way down the ground. Inhale, we'll go to a flat back position, having our hands rest on our shins or our thighs, and then exhale, release back. We'll plant the palms, we'll step it back either to our knees or to plank pose, and then we'll slowly lower all the way down to the ground. Inhale, we'll press up. Cobra, you can go up as high or as little as you'd like to start off, just waking up the back body. Exhale all the way back down. Inhale, pressing up to all 4s or plank pose. And then inhale, we'll go meet in downward facing dog. And then from here, we'll just repeat what we've already done. So walking our feet all the way up to meet our hands. Inhaling slowly all the way up to mountain pose. And that's 1 sun salutation. So we'll do 2 more of those. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, bend. Inhale, flat back. Exhale all the way down to the ground, plank pose or knees, and then you can lower all the way down to your belly, or if you've chaturangas in your practice, include that. And then exhale, press up to downward facing dog. One more like that. Inhale, arms up. Exhale. Inhale, flat back. Exhale. Step it back. Inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, walk it up. Inhale, slowly rise to mountain pose. Awesome. For this next part, we'll bring our feet about hip width apart, maybe a little bit wider if that feels a little more comfortable. We'll stand wide, softening our gaze. We're slowly going to just sway back and forth, checking in with our hip joints here, checking in with the hips. You're welcome to maybe do little circles, little figure eights, or if just a gentle sway feels good, welcome to stay there. Then we'll come to stillness at the center. And then we're going to do a posture that is sometimes called the willow tree or sometimes called knocking on heaven's doors. We're just going to gently twist, kind of like we're a tree in the wind, to one side, wrapping our hands around our bodies, and then on the next exhale, going to the other side. So if you notice your knees bend a little bit, sometimes if you're getting a big rush of wind and your limbs are blowing in the wind, your feet can kind of come up as well. Whatever feels most comfortable for you in this posture is what's best. We're just going to wake up hips and the spine this way. So just start swinging back and forth. It's okay if you feel a little ridiculous. It's kind of meant to, just to loosen up those emotions and loosen up our feelings. Sometimes it's good to be silly. You're welcome to speed up your willow tree or slow it down. We'll take 3 more breaths here. Awesome. We'll slowly come back to center, back to stillness. Awesome. So you're going to shift your feet, your weight to 1 foot, finding a slight micro bend in that knee that is bearing all that weight. And then we'll slowly lift the toe or the foot off the ground on the leg that's not bearing as much weight. And we'll bring the bottom of our foot to meet either the ankle or rest on the calf or all the way up to our thigh for tree pose. So your balance is not as great today. Obviously, please still stay as close to the ground as possible. But if you're looking for a challenge, you can bring that foot all the way up, opening the hip to the side. And then when you're ready, you can bring your hands to heart center. It's totally normal to fall, to bend, to move with the wind. For an extra challenge, you're welcome to bring your arms all the way up like a big tree, stabilizing through the hips. I invite you to find, in yoga we call it our focal point or our drishti, just a non-moving spot in front of you. It'll help you center yourself, help you keep your balance. Invite you to activate your core as well. That'll help with balance and stability. On each inhale, activate your core. Then on each exhale, maybe open your hip or imagine your hip opening just a little bit more. Two more breaths here. You're doing awesome. Awesome. Exhale, you can gently bring that foot all the way back down to the ground. Bringing it wide again. Maybe sway a little bit, kick out the feet a little bit. And then we'll take it to the other side. Next inhale, shift to the other leg, bringing the bottom of the foot to the ankle, to the calf, or all the way up to your thigh. We just don't want it to rest on the knee because we want to protect the knee. Once you found a comfortable position, you can bring your arms to heart center or all the way up, finding that focal point in front of you, that drishti, to help center you. And then on the next inhale, we'll activate the core. Exhale, we'll imagine that hip opening a little bit more. Inhale, activate. Exhale, open. do 2 more breaths here. Awesome. Exhale, and you can release that foot back to the ground, back to our wide leg. Good stance. Hands come to rest to the side, and we'll take a flow here. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, all the way down. Forward fold, releasing to the back. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, we'll step it back to plank or to your knees, and then we'll go chaturanga to up dog or belly to cobra. Whatever is most comfortable for you. And then exhale, we'll meet in downward facing dog. Inhale, we'll walk our feet all the way back up to the top of our mat. And then slowly we'll rise up again to mountain pose. All right, so similar to what we did in tree pose, we're gonna shift our weight to 1 foot, and then we're gonna bring, like a figure 4, the ankle to cross over just above the knee, opening up through the hip. We'll bring our hands to heart center, and then on our next exhale, we'll slowly bend the weight-bearing leg, stretching and opening through our hip. We'll keep an active foot in the leg that is in the figure 4 position. Breathing deep. Finding maybe a focal point on the ground this time in front of us. Awesome. Exhale, we'll straighten that knee, keep that knee bent. First, straighten the weight-bearing knee. We'll keep our figure 4 knee bent, but we'll move the ankle, bringing the knee up, kind of like you're a toy soldier marching. And then exhale, we're gonna hinge at the hips, bending forward, reaching our leg back for warrior 3. And then exhale, we'll drop it to the ground, pivoting on the back foot, opening up warrior 2. So here you want to check in, making sure your knee is over your front ankle, not too far over, protecting that knee. Strong base, gathering the inner thighs together, holding you forward. Inhale, we'll sweep the arms forward, pivoting on the back knee for a high lunge. And then exhale, we'll frame the foot, we'll lower that back knee. And we're gonna come into a pigeon pose. So opening up through our hips. So we're gonna take that bent foot, bent knee and bent foot, and cross that foot all the way across our body until it comes to rest on the ground. So this might be kind of an uncomfortable position for some of you. Your hips might not be ready for that, or they might be a little tight just today. So this is a great time to grab that block and put it underneath your bum. That can support you either high or low as you come into this pigeon pose. So figure 4 with that front knee, back leg reaching back, front arms on the ground, chest reaching forward. Opening through the side hip, opening through the front of the quadricep on the other side. Checking in with those muscles that support our hips and hip mobility. If this is a posture in which you have a lot of ease in, feel free to walk your hands forward, maybe coming down onto your forearms, maybe walking even further than that, coming down to the ground. stretching through that hip. Breathing deep here. Releasing that tension. And then if you're on your forearms or your head is to the ground, make your way back up, palms to the earth, chest shining forward. If you're on the block, press up and move that block to the side. And then you can walk that bent foot all the way back to our low lunge. Shining our chest forward. On your next inhale, we'll raise that back knee up. And then exhale, we'll sweep the arms up for our low lunge. Stretching that back body. And then exhale, we'll open up warrior two. Inhale, we'll go back, sweeping the arms forward, high lunge. Exhale, bring the hands to the heart center. Inhale, we'll look forward and we'll bend, hinging at the hips, looking at our front foot, and then we'll rock back and forth and maybe push off the second or third rock. We're coming back to warrior three, and then bending, having your feet meet, standing all the way up, back to mountain pose. Option here to take a flow, vinyasa, and we'll come back and do the same for the other side. If you're in mountain pose, we'll take it to the other side. So we're going to shift our weight to the other leg. We'll bring the opposite foot up, crossing the ankle just atop the knee, opening up through the hip. On your next inhale, we'll bring the hands to heart center. And then when you're ready, we'll bend the weight-bearing leg, coming into seated figure four. Stretching through the hip. Activating that figure four foot for a deeper stretch in the hip. Breathing deep here, finding our drishti. Awesome. We'll straighten the weight-bearing leg, coming back up for figure four. Inhale, release the leg, bringing it up, the marching pose. And then exhale, hinge at the hip, letting that hovering leg come all the way back, maybe extending all the way back out behind us for warrior three. And then exhale, we'll plant that back leg, pivot on the back foot, opening up warrior two. Checking in with that front knee, making sure we're not splaying our knee inward or outward, that it's right over that front ankle. Breathing, tucking our tailbone, drawing energy up to the center of our body. On the next inhale, pivot on the back foot, sweeping our arms forward for high lunge. Breathing deep here. And then exhale, we'll frame the front foot with our feet, or with our hands, lowering our knee for a low lunge. And then we'll start walking our planted foot across our body for pigeon pose. Again, you might want to try a block, putting it beneath your bum here for support, as you stretch and open through that hip. The other side might be different. So you might want to try it with the block and then without the block and see which feels more comfortable for you. We'll keep our arms planted. That feels good. Or maybe a deeper stretch. Walk the hands forward and come onto your forearms or forehead to ground. Opening and releasing in the hips. Checking in with our breath. Awesome. If you are on the ground or your forearms are on the ground, press up to your hands. We'll move that block out of the way. We'll come back, framing that bent leg to our low lunge. Shining our heart forward. And when you're ready on your next inhale, we'll raise the back foot, sweeping our hands up and overhead at a lunge. Exhale, we'll pivot on the back foot, opening up warrior two. Inhale, we'll pivot, go back to high lunge. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, we'll bend at the hips, looking at our bent foot. We'll begin rocking back and forth. And then maybe lift off. Back leg, reaching towards the back corner. Warrior three. And then feet come to touch. Awesome. We'll come back all the way up to standing pose. And then you can take a vinyasa again. Or just stay in mountain pose. Awesome. When you're in mountain pose, walk your feet out a little bit wider than your hips. And we'll have our feet pointing outward, so towards the corners of our yoga mat. We're going to come into a yogi squat. If you've never done this before, be gentle with yourself. It's a very, very difficult pose. It's one of the most difficult ones for me. So we're all going to do it and we're all going to struggle together. Awesome. So on your next inhale, we're going to sweep our hands up, overhead, bringing them to heart center. And then as you're on your next exhale, we're going to just slowly come all the way down to the ground into a squat. So this is a great time to grab our block that is around. You can have it standing straight up like this, off to the side, or even flatter to come sit down on this. So this is a very helpful tool to have as we come to sit in our yogi squat. This is what I use almost every time as I'm opening through the hips. And then our elbows can come to rest against the inner parts of our knee, even pressing outward, opening through the hips and the groin here. Breathing deep, letting our bellies be full with air, which helps relax the hip muscles and open. Two more breaths here. Awesome. So we're gonna remove the block if you're sitting on the block and come right in front of you. And then we're just gonna slowly come all the way down to the ground. So your hands can reach behind you to ease you all the way down to the ground. Our feet will walk a little bit forward, keeping our knees bent. We'll bring our feet in front of us, keeping them wide as our hips. We're gonna do a little bit of a windshield wiper to reset our hips. So your hands can come to rest at your sides, or it might be more comfortable if you're leaning back a little bit. And then we'll just bend our knees to one side and then slowly to the other. Windshield wiper. Back and forth, just massaging through that hip joint. And you'll notice you'll slowly start kind of coming down to your back. Let that happen. We're going to come all the way down to the floor. All the way back. We'll keep our knees bent for this part for a little bit longer. We'll bring one ankle up and we'll cross it over, opening up through our hip. If you want a deeper stretch or you feel like there's some tightness in your hip, you're welcome to lift off the ground and weave your hands through your leg. But it is great if you want to just leave your foot on the ground. Awesome. And then we'll stay in this pose and we'll just let your knees fall to one side. And then we'll let our gaze past the other opposite shoulder of where your knees are for a twist. Stretching through that low back. It supports the hip muscles. Breathing. Awesome. We'll come back up and we'll switch feet. We'll come back to center. We'll bring the other ankle to cross over the knee, opening up through that hip. A restorative stretch. Breathing into our belly here. Awesome. And exhale, we'll let our knees fall to the other side, bringing our gaze, maybe even our arm out to the opposite side, stretching through the low back, a nice twist. Exhale, coming back up to our center position, and then you can slowly reach your legs out, coming into Shavasana, coming into corpse pose, letting your hands rest at the side of you. And I invite you to try to melt into the ground, letting every piece of your body that's touching the ground become that much closer with it. Feeling ground support. And then for the next 2 minutes, I invite you to let go of your breath. Go of your practice, let go of your day thus far. Notice the thoughts that come to mind, acknowledge them, and then let them drift away as you sink into Begin by waking up toes, your fingers, maybe wrists and ankles. And back in, closer to your body. Maybe giving yourself a little hug here, massaging that low back. Or you press up all the way to that seat that we started in. No rush to get there, mindfully moving. Take one more inhale together, bringing our hands to heart center. Letting out all that was released through our mouth. Thank you all for letting me guide you today. Thank you for taking this challenge. If this is a challenge for you, thank you for showing up for yourself today on the mat. I hope you enjoyed this practice, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. The light in me honors and bows the light in me. Okay. Awesome. Thank you all for coming to class. Thank you so much for giving of your time. It's so great to see you all. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.